welcome to the Money Love Story series. This is Kate Northrup. I'm the author of Money, a Love Story. And as part of the launch of this book, what I've been doing is interviewing some of the people who I really love and respect about their own money love stories. Money is such a taboo topic in our culture, and I wanted to make sure that we were having these conscious, loving conversations in a public way here on the internet so that more people would be inspired to know that it's possible to have a conscious, loving relationship with their money. And I'm here with Fabienne Fredrickson, who is the founder of the Client Attraction System. It's been named as one of the fastest growing private companies, and she is an entrepreneur extraordinaire and teaches about the mindset behind attracting abundance into your life. And we had such a good time talking on your podcast a few months ago, and I've been familiar with your work for years, actually, so it's just such a pleasure. So thank you for coming and talking about your money love story.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We're going to have so much fun.
So I love
talking about money.
Oh, good. And I love that. And, you know, one of the things that you said when we were talking on your podcast, which I'll put a link to that interview below, is that we were talking about numbers specifically, and you said, is it okay that I'm saying, numbers with you? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. I'm so happy you're using numbers, because that's one of the things that moves us into power around our money, is being clear and specific.
Yes.
So I just thank you for shining the light brightly on that.
I think it's important. I think, well, I have my own business, obviously, now. I teach people how to build their own businesses, but for so many years, 8 years, I worked in corporate. And it's kept quiet what you make versus what the person in the cubicle next to you makes. Because if you found out that they make more, they found, etc., then there's all this resentment, things like that. And I think that's kind of just like permeated through society, that you don't talk numbers. But just like you said, if I had known in 1999, when I was struggling to get clients and make money, that what I'm making today was possible back then, I think it would have changed everything for me.
Yes, and that's why I love that you are out there talking about these things and saying, like, this is how big my company is, and this is what we're doing, because just like with Roger Bannister when he broke the 4-minute mile, we need to know that other people are doing it to know that it's even can happen. So thank you for that. And I'd love to know, backing up, what did you learn about money as a child, and what was your experience like around that growing up?
Well, my experience around money was kind of mixed. And here's what I mean. So I grew up in Paris. And I grew up in this lovely apartment. My dad is French. My mother was American. And, we had chandeliers and, beautiful things in our home. And we were entering a period in the, in history where my dad decided my mom liked luxe things, the Cartier watches and things like that. And then my dad went into this beatnik stage where he refused money and thought it was just not good. And my parents fought about it, and I believe, this is not confirmed, but I believe it's one of the reasons why they divorced. And when my mother took me and my sister to live in the US, in Connecticut, we went from this luxe apartment in Paris to living upstairs from my grandfather's house that he built himself, and we were shopping at Kmart, and we were really scrounging, no car, nothing. My mom didn't have a job for at least 6 months, and it was a completely different shift. And I've always been pulled in two different directions, the love for luxe, and with my dad, and I adore my dad, but still today, I'm 43, and he says, how much did you pay for that? And how much is your house? And how many clients do you have? And I'm like, Dad, so much energy around money. So it's been this mixed thing, this tug of war inside, because I find myself saying, so how much was that? But I love my Chanel bag and my nice car and things like that. And I'm not gloating or bragging, because I'll explain what I feel about money a little bit later. But I think it's you can be yourself around money, and if you're okay with who you are around money, then it doesn't matter what people think.
Yes, that's a really, really important piece. Really important piece, and that comes with being in a place where you value yourself and you value your worth, and you can be proud of who you are, what you believe, and what you've created in the world.
Here's why. Can I jump into that? I think that there's the way that I look at money, and the way I teach my students of the Climate Attraction Business School how to look at money and how to look at wealth and abundance, is to look at, especially as an entrepreneur, the more value you bring into the marketplace, the more you are rewarded for that value. And so if you want to make more money, whether you're in corporate, you have your own business, it doesn't matter, just add more value than you're offering now and more value than your competitors and colleagues offer to infinitely more people. Yes. And naturally, you'll make more money. And when you look at it that way, it's not like, oh, who does she think she is with her money? It's the money that you have is simply a gauge of how much value you've brought to the marketplace, how much you've changed people's lives. And when you look at it that way, let's say you're making, $30,000 in your life right now. If you want to be making $300,000, it's simply about adding more value to the world than you're currently adding.
Exactly. I'm so glad you brought that point up. It's so true. and what's beautiful about that is the simplicity of it, that it really is about how can I be of service, how can I bring more value to the world, and then you will automatically almost just be receiving in exchange for that. But I'd love to ask you, when you were coming out and going into the corporate world and being out on your own after growing up with those kind of conflicting views of money, or contrast at least, how did those things affect you as you were out on your own, psychologically or emotionally, or just in your reality that you created?
Well, it's a great question, actually. When I was, my first real job, my second real job was in New York, and I worked for an advertising agency. I worked for many advertising agencies, and I found myself making, $20,000 or $21,000 a year, and yet and living simply in my apartment, a small apartment, but really spending a lot. And again, it was this tug of war, and I found myself, Kate, on the verge of eviction so many times. And I found, I don't know if you know this, but in New York City, they do not slip the eviction notice under your door for no one to see. They tape it onto your door so your neighbors can read the text.
I have seen that before, and it's awful.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. It's pretty humiliating. But here's the thing, is the reason why I was always on the brink of eviction and, bad credit was that I was not taking personal responsibility for my money. I was not opening up my bills. They were going in a shopping bag. I talk about this in all of my, probably even talk about it in my book.
Yeah.
So I'm used to talking about this lack of personal responsibility, but really like not opening it, not paying on time, all of that. And I think that was that mixed message of I want to spend a lot, but I want to be frugal. So my mindset was don't spend a lot, but my habits were about spending a lot.
Right. And also, possibly from your dad kind of pushing away money, that you wouldn't interact with it because maybe there was a feeling that it was bad or something. I'll have to read your book to find out more about that story. But thank you for sharing so openly. And I just want, for those listening, know that if that is your situation, if that's your current reality, overspending, not paying on time, having eviction notices, if you feel like you're in that pickle, it's absolutely possible to get out of it. And I'd love to know, for you, Fabienne, what was was there a turning point moment for you that helped you to start to create the reality that you're living now around money?
Well, number one, I really focused on changing my money consciousness. And I want to say something that might ruffle some people's feathers, but hey, if you want to break through, you got to hear the truth, right? So when I believe that a lack of money is simply a symptom of your money consciousness. So if you think that money is bad and rich and successful people are evil and they take up too much space and they're not connected to their spirituality, then by all means, on a subconscious level, you will not attract money into your life because you don't want to be mean and greedy and evil. When you start doing work by reading books such as yours, and really taking personal responsibility for how you view money, and you start to see money as being good, because people think that rich people are evil. This is it's all over society, and I talk about this in my mindset retreat. But this is the way I look at it. Rich people are not evil. Evil people are evil.
Yes.
Right? There are just as many poor people who are evil. So it's really just a consciousness of how you view money. And the minute that you switch the way that you view money is the minute that on a subconscious level you stop sabotaging. You start opening the bills. You start taking personal responsibility. You start looking at the opportunities for making more money that are right under your nose, and you start to take them.
Yes.
And so that when I started taking personal responsibility and looking at my money consciousness, that's how I've been able to build a multi-million-dollar business, hire all these people, build schools in Africa, blah, 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 is simply because of that, reading books like yours.
And it's not blah, blah, blah. It's really important work, and it's to be celebrated, because you are offering so much value to the world, to the people who come to your website and find your free information there, to the people who come to your mindset retreat. All of that stuff, you are prospering because you are helping other people prosper, and that's the reality. And it's not for you listening. It's not that you have to go out and help people to change their money mindset. That's not the only path. There are so many ways to add value. So I'd love to know, for you, as you're giving back in big ways and continuing to grow and build your business and raising kids and all of the things that you're doing, what's the next frontier for you, knowing that we're always growing, changing, learning, developing? What's the next frontier for you when it comes to money?
10 times.
Nice.
Always looking at 10 times. So when I was barely making $30,000 a year, I said 10 times, and I went 10 times. And then when I was at 300,000, I went 10 times. And what I get, Kate, is I can't be at 10 times, because I have not shifted my money consciousness to be at the 8-figure mark. Yeah. So my job over the next 6 months, year, 2 years, whatever it takes, is to shift my current money consciousness. Because if I had already shifted it to be able to make 8 figures, I would be at 8 figures already. And so here's what I want to say is, there's no such thing as personal growth and development nirvana. There's no such thing as money consciousness nirvana. You got to keep working on it, because there's every new level, there's a new devil. Exactly. And so for me, I'm always thinking in terms of 10 times. And it's not because I need any more shoot. I don't. Yeah. It's really just about the process of who you become. It's about who you become in the process of reaching. It's kind of like people, I don't climb mountains, but I presume that the thrill of climbing Everest is not necessarily just in the peak. It's in all of the work that you do. Same with marathons, all of the work that you do to actually get there. And that's why I always shoot for 10 times.
I love it. I love it. And so it shall be, and better. So thank you so much for sharing your money love story with us. And if you want to know more about Fabienne and the work that she's doing, head over to clientattraction.com. She has this awesome free CD that you can get, and I actually have it and have listened. It's fantastic. And if you want to know more about Money a Love Story and this kind of conversation we're having, because it's very much in alignment with what's in the book, you can head over to moneyalovestory.com. And when you buy the book by September 24th, you'll get access to a 2-hour live online event I'm doing called A Course in Having Enough. And I've got guest teachers, Marianne Williamson, Barbara Stanny, and Amanda Steinberg, who founded dailyworth.com, joining me. So moneyalovestory.com, find Fabienne at clientattraction.com. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your wisdom.
My pleasure.
Thank you.